The schedules pane is very important, but once you set it up, you probably won't use it as much as the activity pane. And when you come in here, you're going to see that we have 3 default schedules and they're all backups. And the only one that's enabled is the daily backup. You can then click on the daily backup and see all the details. You can see the schedule type. Of course, there's many types of backups. We'll get into that in a second. You have the name, the databases you want to back up, because you can back up just one database or 2 if you want, where it's going to go, how many to keep, and this is a very important number. This means that in this case, since it's a daily backup, this is going to keep 7 backups, or 1 for each day of the week. As soon as we get to the second week, it's going to start replacing the oldest backup. So you'll always have 7 backups, 7 days back. So remember that. That's an important thing, and this is probably good enough for most situations. We can verify the backup integrity, clone it, just get the structure if you want. We can do, this is the frequency daily. It's pretty clear with the name already. The start date, the end date. Usually I don't put an end date on these, but you could have an end date if you have some type of other schedule. I don't think backups really pertain to that. And then the repetition, but this information is all inside of our script or our backup schedule. In fact, we're going to come over here because I don't think that just a daily backup is sufficient. I think you also want to do a weekly backup. And you want this weekly backup to store, and you'll see it stores 4 here. So basically an entire month. You have once per week, 4, which means about a month. So you've got 1 for every day to go back 7 days. But sometimes in really rare situations, you might have to go back even further. Who knows what you might need to look at? Some data that got deleted you didn't know about until a month later. Who knows? But let's go ahead and try editing the schedule and see what it looks like. Now you can create a schedule from scratch if you want. You can edit the schedule, duplicate it, and then modify it probably. Delete it. We're not going to delete it right now. And then run a schedule now in case you want to do a backup right this moment. Sometimes I do that if I want to run it and then get that backup and then offload it and then do some work on the database. And if I do make a mistake, I have that backup, the recent backup. But let's edit it to see what this looks like. And you'll see that we have the option here of changing which databases we back up. We can select a database or do a whole folder, whatever you want. Usually you're backing up all your databases though. You can set your backup folder and of course validate it. You need to make sure that path is valid. So you have to go onto your server, make that folder or that directory, and then type it in here and then validate it, and then you'll be sure your backups will work. Here's where you specify how many backups to keep. There's your integrity and your clone if you want it. I'm not really going to change anything. I'm just showing you what it looks like. You have the frequency. You can change that, of course. You have the start date. You have all this information about when it's going to run. But usually a fairly basic, straightforward backup is the best. You don't need to say, I'll do it on Sunday and Tuesday and Saturday. I just don't see the point in that. Then we're going to go ahead and name it if you want. Send an email notification to you when it runs. And so you'd have to enter your SMTP information right into FileMaker server, as we'll see later. It won't send through a client. You have to have it in here. And then, of course, enable the schedule. And we've enabled it already through that checkbox in the main interface. And then here's a review of it, and you simply hit finish. And that's the information. That's what a backup, that's the most common one you're going to do. But sometimes you may want to create your own schedule. Now you can do that right here, but before we do that, let's decide what we're going to do. So we're going to go over to FileMaker, and we're opening it with the admin password. Go into the script workspace, and you'll see we have the level inventory server. We wrote this a long time ago, and it was for leveling inventory on the server, so we didn't run into record locking. You can see here it checks if you're on the server and your user count is 1, meaning the only person's connected is the server, then go ahead and run this. Otherwise, and it'll also run if you're pro and 2 users, meaning the server and 1 connected guest. But this is really what we wrote here, is this server and get user count equals 1 to run this thing and make level it when nobody's on the system. So we don't have to worry about record locking. We can do a very straightforward inventory leveling, and that way we don't have and this works really well in cases where you don't have to have inventory leveled as each invoice is created or leveled. You can just do it by day and have it run in the middle of the night. So we're going to run this. We'll come back over here into our FileMaker will create a schedule. So you can see all the choices here. We're not going to go over every single one, but you have backup a database. You can send a message on a schedule, a system level script. FileMaker script is what we're going to do. You have a script sequence, and you can even verify databases. So these all are nice. System level script might be nice if you want to do something like archive your backups onto another volume, and have something run at system level, and you'd pause the database, or go to the folder where the backups are and just copy them over. So you could do that in the middle of the night if you want to. But we're going to run a FileMaker script. We're going to choose that file. That's the only one running right now. We're going to enter in a password. I usually use the full access password here. You want it to be able to do anything it needs to. So that's admin and 1234, just to remind you yet again. Then we'll come down here and find our inventory leveling. I think it's pretty much right up here at the top. The server version. We don't need a script parameter. We have a time limit. It's not going to take very long to run, but I'll bump it up a little bit to 10 minutes. I doubt it'll take even 30 seconds, if not, maybe even 10 seconds. We can even abort it if the time limit is reached. There might be an issue there, but I'm not worried here. Then we have our frequency when we want to run it. Daily, weekly, whenever you want to run it. The same things as when you had with the backup schedule. I'm just going to do it daily and have it start at, we're not going to really run this on a schedule. We're just going to try it out here and run it right now. So we'll hit next. Give it a name. We'll call it level inventory. We could send an email notification again if we want. Again, you have to set up your SMTP information. Enable a schedule. I'm not going to enable it. I don't really want to run it on a schedule. I'm just going to run it, to see how it works manually. So we'll hit next here again. Here's your review. Hit finish. And now we have our level inventory. We can see we can open that up. In fact, don't forget you can change this right here if you want to get more information down here. It depends on how many you have, whether you want to scroll this section or that section. So now we have our level inventory. Now let's go ahead and see what we've got over in FileMaker Pro. Now let's close the script, and we'll see that I have 2 records found. These are the only non-leveled records, and you can see the data here. 1 widget, in fact the widget's down here twice, so it's going to add up to 2. 1 super widget here, and then this one has 2 super widgets. So you can do the math here and figure it out. But if we look down here, there's nothing. But if I go to the other records that have been leveled, it'll say what day it's been leveled. So I added that field. It was simply the field we already had the date leveled, and I also put in on this formula to hide the object. So when the date level is empty, hide it so we don't see it. And that's basically not because the date would show, but I didn't want the leveled word to show. So you can see how the leveled also disappears here when I go here. So this is what should get leveled when we run it, and then the date should show up here. So let's go ahead and give it a try. We'll go over here and run a schedule now. And he says, okay, well, let's see what happened here. Now, we'll come back over here to FileMaker Pro. And you see it hasn't leveled it. Now, why is that? Well, if we take another look at the script, you notice it says the user count has to equal 1. Well, we're logged in, it won't work. So let's close it. Let's come in here, and we'll try that again. Run the schedule now. And you see there's a FileMaker script error. Doesn't give us much information, but I already know what the issue is. I set this up ahead of time. So let's go and open up FileMaker Pro again. Go to Open Recent, and we'll put in admin 1234. There we go. Go into the script. And what I'm going to do is turn on the server compatible script steps. And you can see that several aren't compatible here. The show custom dialog. That's where the error is occurring. Now you can see that it may have leveled it. Let's see what happened here. We'll go to these records and see if it actually leveled them. I don't remember which ones they were, but it looks like they were because today's 10.5. So it actually did level them, and it's an error that occurred because it couldn't run the script step. It's not that it didn't work. It's just that it can't run these steps. So just so we don't get an error, we should probably remove them. Or you don't have to worry about them because you may be running on Pro. You just don't have to worry about that little error message. You know what it's all about. So you could take out these numbers here, or these show custom dialog by opting them out. Just go in here and come in here and And let's see, where's that option? I always do it with the keyboard command, so I never remember. Where is that? Well, I don't remember where the option is. I may be missing it, but just do a command backslash and it'll disable it like that. So easy enough. That will, solve the problem there, and you won't get an error message anymore. So we would have to go ahead and take off this so we can actually come in here and verify it worked another way. But let's go over here to our products. We'll go into layout mode, go into products, and then go into browse mode. And you'll see what happened is that I set these all to 100 here on the sold, and you can see 2 are missing from that, 3 are missing from the super widget. This is exactly what was meant to happen. So let's go ahead and try it one more time just to verify there's no error message now. So we'll come in there and create a new record. See, it's not leveled. I'll put in a consumer level widget, one of them. That's enough to run this whole thing. And then we'll come back over to our FileMaker or server, run that again. You see it didn't get an error message there, so we fixed the problem if you wanted, but it really did the same thing. There was no difference. If we come back here, we'll see that this one is now going to be leveled. So we'll come over here and find it. It's the one on 10.5, and I believe this got leveled. Let's see what happened here. So it didn't quite work here. Let's see what happened. That should have put a number on there. It doesn't look like it did. Ah, that's because I'm logged in. I fool myself again. And, if I do it a third time, then maybe I should stop recording videos. But we'll leave that in there. Prove that it works again. We'll save all here. And I didn't even save the script, so there's a lot of things I need to run. Let's cross our fingers and see if it works this time. And it did get an OK again, but now we have to go open it up. And we'll go into open recent. Put in admin here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Open that up and go to the last record. We'll see it's been leveled. And if we go over to our products, we will see over there that now we have 97 here. So you can see everything worked perfectly. And so FileMaker Server is really handy that way if you want to do. There's so many things you can do automated in the middle of the night. And this is where you do it. Set it up. You don't necessarily have to have it even enabled all the time. You can disable it. There's so many possibilities here, but anytime you don't want to do something during the day, you want to offload it, like an import from the ODBC source. Maybe you want to import that into your database every night. Maybe you want to go ahead and send email messages to people about overdue invoices or something. There's all kinds of things you can do in here, and so it really takes a long time to explore it. So spend some time in here and think about it. Google and look up what options are, what people have been doing with the schedules, because it really can make your experience in FileMaker Server really beneficial.